Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We are starting off today talking about wellness, probably my favorite and least favorite subject simultaneously. I am going to start off with something I guess might be controversial, but I think everyone really knows, and that is that our wellness culture does not work. And that might seem like a bold statement, especially coming from someone who teaches meditation, community building, movement, and a lot of practices that from the outside look like wellness. But here's what I mean when I talk about wellness. I'm talking about this massive industry that has become a machine, right? That has really promises transformation, but what does it actually deliver? Temporary relief, a sense of like brief calm before we're kind of back on the hamster wheel, doing all the things that our culture is like pushing us to do. And I've been teaching contemplative practices and these techniques for a long time. And I've watched so many people, really dedicated, sincere people, get stuck in what I call the wellness treadmill. And the worst part is that they think it's their fault when it doesn't work. So I wanted to hop on and I wanted to talk about why I really think that why wellness culture fails and also what can actually create lasting transformation. Because there's a difference, a big one. So let's start off with what the wellness treadmill actually looks like. So a lot of us are familiar with this. We download the app, we try the new morning routine, we try the supplements, we journal, we buy a special pillow, we go get a massage, we follow influencers that seem to have it all figured out. And for a little while, it actually probably does something. We feel good. We feel like we're taking action. We're taking care of ourselves. We're being proactive. But it usually stops working. Or maybe it never really quite worked in the first place. So what do? We try something else, a different app, a different routine, a different website, a different breathwork technique, a different journal prompt. But then when that also doesn't work, we sometimes start thinking, okay, what is wrong with me? Everyone else, especially on social media or the internet, seems to be getting results. Why can't I make this stick? And the thing that I've realized about wellness culture and something that it doesn't tell you is that it's not you, it's the approach. Because this type of culture just skims the surface, right? It's treating the symptoms and not the root causes. It might be giving us tools, but it's not teaching us how to build the foundation that we actually need to make change in our lives. So it's like trying to renovate a house while the foundation is crumbling. Sure, the new paint might look really nice for a minute, but it doesn't address the actual structural problem. And if you don't address the root of what is happening, we just continue in this perpetual cycle. More techniques, more trying, more feelings like we're failing when we can't maintain it all. And then this becomes a treadmill. And then, incredibly paradoxically, this becomes another source of stress that we're trying to maintain in already very busy and chaotic lives. So I feel like there's three main reasons why this culture doesn't work, and I want to talk about. The first one is that it's product focused, not practice focused. So wellness culture is trying to sell us all the things, right? The apps, the treatments, the routines. It's all about consumption. But real transformation doesn't come from consuming more. It comes from cultivating capacity, developing actual skills and internal resources that allow you to navigate life differently. So we don't need more tools. We need to develop the ability to work with what we already have, our minds, our bodies, and our lived experience. The second problem is that the wellness culture provides the promise of quick fixes. It would be amazing if 10 minutes to calm or the 7 days to a new you or this one simple trick that changed everything worked, but it doesn't. Humans just don't work this way. This isn't how meaningful change happens. Real transformation takes time. It's incremental. It requires consistency, not necessarily intensity. It needs space. This is what we don't have enough of, right? It needs space to develop and integrate and become who we are, not something that we're trying to do all the time. And this leads me to the last issue with this culture is that it's really divorced from reality. So wellness culture presents as like this ideal version of ourselves, right? The perfect morning routine, pristine meditation space, the hour-long practice before the kids wake up. But this is not life. Life is messy. Life is about what do we do when we're overwhelmed and exhausted and we're navigating workloads that are impossible and family demands that are hard? And then on top of it all, the world seems like it's coming apart. And wellness says, like, just go get another massage or just do this. But we know that is not going to cut it. Transformation, the transformational viewpoint says, I have to work with what's here. I have to work in this messy, muddy situation and come out the other side. So that's the fundamental difference. So real transformation isn't about adding more to your plate. It's about building this gentle infrastructure, this foundational capacity that allows us to sustain meaningful work, show up for our lives, even when it's hard. So that's what the Groundwork Collective is really all about. We do not teach wellness, although it will make you feel better. We teach groundwork. So the groundwork is about developing those fundamental skills that become integrated into how you live. They're not tasks to do, not something you have to remember. It's learning to work with your mind, not to make it always calm or positive, but to understand how it operates so you can navigate it skillfully. It's about developing a sustainable relationship with your body. We're not trying to optimize it or perfect it, but how do we learn to inhabit it fully, sense what it's telling us, and use it actually as a grounding force and a communication for what we need? It's about building the capacity to stay present with difficulty and not bypass it or fix it or spiritualize it away, but actually meet it and work with it. So a lot of this work is not necessarily glamorous. It's not necessarily Instagrammable, but it's real and it lasts. So instead of meditation apps that guilt trip us when we miss a day, we develop actual practices that become as fundamental as brushing our teeth, right? It's like mental hygiene. It's not because we have to do it or we feel guilty when we don't, but it's because we've experienced firsthand what it gives us. So instead of the perfect morning routine, we're learning practices that are flexible to meet us where we are. 10 minutes, 45 minutes, first thing midday, when you're calm or you're frazzled, it doesn't matter. So instead of consuming content about self-care, which is what we've all been guilty of, you're actually developing the skills to care for yourself in the midst of real life. So not someday when things feel calmer, but right now in the chaos. It's what allows us to do meaningful, difficult work in the world and to keep coming back without burning out, checking out. So if you're been on the wellness treadmill, if you're still on the wellness treadmill and you've been trying all the things and you feel like you're not, or you feel like you're failing and it's not sticking, I'm here to tell you it's not you, it's the approach. So you need more than techniques. You need groundwork, foundation, and infrastructure. You need practices that are rooted in tradition, that have been tested over centuries, not something that's going to be gone in 6 months. You need practices that are designed for real people with real lives, not these idealized versions of ourselves, focused on capacity and not consuming content. And that is how we are sustainable over the long haul, not just impressive over the short term. So at the Groundwork Collective, our aim is to teach meditation and contemplative practices, not just to keep you calm, but to actually develop your ability to work skillfully with your own mind, which is so much more powerful. We teach about movement, not to perfect the body, but to lean on it as a resource for you. And we build community not as something that we think is nice to have, but as an essential infrastructure that we all need to understand our world today. And we're trying to do this in practical, accessible ways that are designed for people like you and me. So, look, I get it. And sometimes I really wish that it was the case that the wellness industry would deliver because it's seductive. It promises easy answers, quick results, perfect routine that will finally make everything click and make things easier. But deep down, we already know that that is not real at all. We've been down that road. So instead, if what you're looking for is something that actually builds foundation, you're in the right place. And if you want to, instead of trying to fix yourself, develop capacity to work with yourself just as you are, that's transformation. And we choose that over wellness. So we're not here to sell you another product, but to help build the infrastructure you need to sustain the meaningful work that we're all doing in the world, in our families. And so if that resonates with you, please check out the link in the description to learn more about what's coming down the pike. It's really exciting. And in the meantime, if you're on that wellness treadmill, you don't need to keep running. You just need to find some solid ground. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.